want to invite the President to make his opening remarks. Honorable President.
Thank you, Minister Thabisa. As our program director and Premier of our province here, Dr. Zamani Saul, and ministers who are here present, and deputy ministers, smiling and non-smiling, MECs, I greet you as well, and the executive mayors, I don't know where they are seated, right towards the end, yes, and members of councils and our officials and ladies and gentlemen. Premier Zamani Saul is one person who is not given to telling untruths. I've never heard him tell a lie. But this morning, as I listened to him, I realized that he's not telling the truth. Because just as he met me at the airport, he said, President, this is the how manyth time that you are here. You've been here so many times. So now he says they feel neglected. And that is not true, that the Northern Cape is neglected. It's a real joy to be here in this really vast and beautiful province of our country, much as it is home to some 1.3 million people and is the biggest province in our country. It is one of those wonderful provinces which is so well endowed with many attributes which we will deal with later today. This is the 6th formal engagement that we are having as national government, led to some extent by myself, but largely by Minister Thabisa, where the national executive of our country is having meaningful engagements with provinces. We have previously met with the executive councils of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, and most recently with the Eastern Cape. We hope to have met with the leadership of government in all our provinces over the next few months. Now, all this is in aid of advancing cooperative governance as mandated by our Constitution. Now, as the government of national unity, we see this as an important part of building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. One of the driving forces behind the district development model that we established in 2019 was to ultimately do away with two persistent challenges that have been holding back our progress as a government. The first challenge is where we've continued to work in silos. This has been a particular problem when it comes to the interface between national, provincial, and local government spheres. The second is what I have always termed the parachuted development projects. And this refers to projects and programs that, having been initiated and scoped and budgeted for at national level, get done without much due consideration to the realities of implementation on the ground, or even whether that particular initiative in the end does meet the needs of our people. Now, these challenges have been time-consuming as well as costly. They've also contributed to a widening of trust between government and our communities when these ventures fail to take flight or encounter a lot of implementation problems. Now, structured engagements between national and provincial as well as local government structures are designed to narrow and ultimately close the gaps that often prevents us from doing what needs to be done. They are meant to help us work together more efficiently, to resolve challenges together and to plan smarter. But they also enable us to come up with innovative ideas and proposals of how we can foster development. I have said on a number of occasions that the Northern Cape in many ways is an economic pioneer and a frontier of innovation. Last year, there was a report published a profile that characterized the province as South Africa's emerging powerhouse, quite literally. The Northern Cape is at the forefront of the clean energy revolution, as we all know, and is experiencing a significant surge in power projects, notably solar as well as green hydrogen. Now, the province's green hydrogen master plan is ambitious in both scope and potential, not just for the Northern Cape, but for the national economy as well. It is also a potential that can have an impact on SADC and even for our continent. In recent months, I, together with a number of members of the National Executive, meaning Cabinet, have participated in multilateral discussions and business forums where we've been articulating our vision of South Africa being a leader in the renewable energy revolution. And to quote this report, which I referred to, once the energy transition unfolds as envisaged, the Northern Cape could be the new heartbeat of our economy. Now, besides the strides that are being made in the energy sector, we note that the Northern Cape is working to become also an industrial hub. This is supported by the traditional industries like mining, but it is also being expanded through special economic zones development, as well as industrial park development and major infrastructure development, notably port and rail. Now, while the economy of the province has been growing and creating jobs, and there has been important progress in areas like education, public infrastructure, and basic services, persistent challenges still remain that are prevalent in the province. National Treasury's 2024 Provincial Socioeconomic Review points to an increase in the percentage of people living in poverty here in the Northern Cape, and people who are facing real-life challenges, and also a drop in the number of households who have access to basic services such as water. Unemployment, especially youth unemployment, remains high. So much as we look at the potential and the progress that is being made, these challenges are still casting a shadow on our way to much better development. Fiscal constraints are holding back a number of projects, particularly at municipal level, including for disaster response and rural electrification, as well as public housing. Now, with respect to infrastructure development, we will need to find innovative ways to support high-impact projects. We will also need to find creative funding mechanisms for major projects that we need to embark upon. For instance, the Bogobai Harbour project, which I have spoken about on a number of occasions, including during the State of the Nation. Now, that is a project that will turn the fortunes of our province around. We need an urgent relook at the current delivery model to enable regulatory approval and investment activation. Now, what often holds us back is our own regulatory processes, where out of great enthusiasm to try to govern better, we've come up with a number of regulations that are now proving to be constraints that hold us back. We now need to look at those and see how we can utilize good governance processes, but at the same time foster quicker and smarter development in our economy. An integrated planning between national, provincial, and local government must involve our own state-owned enterprises as well as the participation of other important stakeholders. The integration of provincial planning into national priority planning must be prioritized through the district development model, and it must also be aligned to the medium-term development plan. Now, we are keen to discuss how the province is addressing the issue, for instance, of climate change and its state of readiness to respond to a number of other challenges that come up, for instance, disasters or natural disasters. Now, another challenge that we need to address is at the local government level, how we are able to improve our local government sphere. And we can also find ways and must find ways of ensuring that this province is able to move up to a higher level when it comes to tourism and be able to attract tourists. These are amongst the issues that we need to deliberate on today as we engage amongst ourselves. So there is a great deal of promise in the Northern Cape, other than having seen a great increase in investment in renewable energy. There is latent potential in this province where we can actually exploit the number of endowments that the Northern Cape has, and I look forward to hearing how the province wishes to position itself and to assist the people of our country here in the Northern Province to move to a higher level of growth where we can increase the employment and where we can increase the skills potential, particularly of young people in this province. Premier Saul, I do believe that with the leadership that your Executive Council is providing here, we have an important platform that can be utilized to drive the further growth that is required here. So I look forward to hearing your dreams, to looking very closely at the potential that you have and how you intend to exploit it. Now, allow me once again to thank you all for welcoming us, and I look forward to our discussions, which I am sure will be fruitful. Thank you very much, Minister Hlabisa, and thank you, all of you. Thank you.